Hi folks, I'm Roger and we're here at Cargroomers Yatala production facility in the laboratory, and we want to have a talk today about what Cargroomers does to make sure that the quality of the products that you're purchasing and you're using on your Pride and Joy are top-notch A1 ready to go. So when a sample gets manufactured in the factory, they bring a small sample into the laboratory here and we have a look at the computer, and that tells us what product it is and the specifications, the different types of testing that we need to do on the product to make sure it's just right. We do testing like pH, tell you how acid or alkali or neutral the product is. We look at things like specific gravity, which tells us how many solids are in the product, and when we're filling the bottles, make sure that we get the contents just right. We also look at viscosity. Now, viscosity is how thick or thin something is, how it will flow or not flow, whether it'll pump, whether a hand soap's going to be right viscosity to use on your hands or a body wash. And of course we look at colour as well. So let's have a look at some of the specific tests that we do and how we do them. So we got this nifty little thing here. It's a magnetic stirrer bar with a temperature controller on it, so it'll heat and stir. There's a magnet under here with a stirrer bar in it, and it allows us to mix samples, to add various chemicals to the detergents that we've got, so that when we can go away and do other things, and we can set this to stir and mix for hours on end, so to make sure all the ingredients are going in at the correct proportions. And we can adjust temperature, we can heat, we can cool, we can do different things with this instrument to make sure that the detergents are mixed just to the right quality. The next thing we come to here is a balance, but what the important thing is here is a volumetric flask. Now, you might remember the old days of chemistry at high school. These things are used to measure really accurately, so we know exactly, for this one we've got exactly 100 mils. So if we put 100 mils of liquid in here to the specific mark and then put it on the scales, we can measure the weight per 100 mils, which gives us the specific gravity or the density of a solution, and that helps us understand, have we got all the right components in there, are they in their right proportions, and what weight to fill a bottle or to fill a jar with the chemical that we've got. The next gadget we've got here is a viscometer. Now this one's called a rotational viscometer. There's different ways to measure viscosity, but as I said, this one is a rotational viscometer. And what it does is we've got spindles. So we've got a spindle which sits on the arc here, and they've got different sized discs. We immerse that disc into the liquid and it spins at a certain rate, and we measure the torque on the instrument. The thicker the liquid, the more torque there is to resist the spinning, and the higher the viscosity. And we can measure things like as thin as water on this, all the way up to thick pastes and hand soaps and dog wash shampoos. We can do all that on this viscometer. It's really important to get viscosity right, because if we have something that's too thick, it won't pump through lines properly. If it's too thin, it'll flow through hand soap dispensers and it's just a runny mess. So we've got to control viscosity and the thickness of the product just right. The next is a real stable in detergent and surfactant labs. It's a pH meter. So most of you would know that pH is an indication of how acid or alkali a product is, or how neutral a product is. And this is a simple instrument here, and you can see the pH of this solution is 7.68, so slightly above neutral, but safe for people to use. We want to make sure that when we're making detergents, we might like something that's a bit alkali or a high pH. It's going to help wash certain soils away, so we want to make sure that that's right. Again, acids for different types of detergents, we've got to make sure that's right. But for soaps and detergents that people are going to handle, we want to make sure it's in that neutral range so it doesn't affect people's skin, and it's safe for people to use and safe for people to handle. Another thing we do here at Cargroomers is to make sure the product's just right, is to check the colour. You can see on the wall here we've got various different filter papers with different dilutions of chemicals on them, to make sure that when we're diluting the product for you, the colour's right. It's not too dark, it's not too strong. We also use an international standard called a Pantone colour guide. And this is a Pantone colour chart, and we give all of our detergents a number, like you can see on this one. So this one is a 3252U colour, and we can make sure that that colour is right every time, and we're getting consistency for our end users and consistency for our clients and the products that we send. Over on this side of the lab, we've got a little titration set up. So sometimes when we're out in the field or when we're making a product in our factory, we need to take the pH step further than just measuring the pH, and we use this type of titration. This one will be an alkali product, and we put a bit of an indicator in there to make sure that we can see the colour change. We choose the correct reagent and just slowly dropwise add it to the parent solution and mix it until the colour changes. So in this one here, we're looking for a colour change from pink to colourless. So I'm counting the number of drops I'm adding. So we're up to 5, 6, you can start to see it's going pale, 7 drops, 8 drops, and 1 more, and then the colour's gone. So our reading there is 8. We go back to our calibration charts and we just make sure that's within specification. The other thing we do at Cargroomers is every single batch we manufacture, we keep a retained sample. So we keep a small sample and we store them on our bench, on our shelves here and in other rooms. So every batch that we make, every product that goes to you, we're keeping a small sample here in the lab to make sure that the stability is correct, and if we get any concerns or any questions from the field, we can come back to our retained samples of that batch, test it and make sure you've got the right product. So thanks for your time today. That's an overview of quality at Cargroomers. I hope you've learned something, and be assured that the product that you're getting from Cargroomers is quality checked, quality tested and A1 every time. Thanks for your time.